welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I bring you inspirational stories on business and mindset to help you courageously and confidently achieve success beyond anything that you dream possible. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I'm a visibility confidence coach and the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. My goal is to get you out there in your world so that you can stop playing small. Welcome to the show. So today I'm super excited because I have a publicist, Chandra Gore. I would have to ask her about how to pronounce her name. She works with entrepreneur and individual to create foundation for success and to understand how to gain visibility via media outreach. With her boutique consulting and public relation firm, Chandra Gore Consulting. Her personal brand, Conversation with Chan, include a podcast, YouTube series, and publications. Her slogan is "Conversation Begin with a Smile." I love her already, right? That leads the way as she begins every endeavors with a smile, and you're not going to forget her smile, I promise. She is the author of several books. I can't pronounce the books today. Event moderator and speaker on topics such as business strategies, media relation, and entrepreneurship, along with her own Conversation with Chan on medium.com. She is also a contributing writer for such publications as Pretty Woman Hustle and Swagger magazine. So please join me with a warm welcome, Chandra.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much.
Look at that smile. Like who would forget that kind of smile?
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm excited to be here today because, you're talking about my favorite subject. So I'm happy. I'm happy about this.
I know we connected, when we first connected through the I think it was a Facebook group. And like the moment I had you on Zoom, I was like, damn, this girl's energy is like a powerhouse.
Yes. I'm excited.
So tell us, I know I read your bio, but tell us a little bit more about yourself. How did you get into the business?
I accidentally got into comms business, into comms, but I was always a business consultant for others because when I started my first business, I did the research. I did everything. This was before we had Facebook. And this was back in the MySpace days when Yahoo was the small business hub for websites and all of these other things. So I did the research on the different places that we could have gone for business registration, business outreach, business support. So then I started giving that information to everyone else. And then once the business started taking off, it was like, well, who's going to come to the business? Who's coming to the business? So that's where I started integrating into reaching out to different press and things like that. And I never put the word public relations on it because I had a full-time career. And in that career, I did marketing and proposals and communications, outreach and things like that. So it just kind of snowballed into that. And then as luck would have it, I had to write a press release and a pitch for someone. And I didn't think anything of it because it's persuasive writing. It's something I did with proposals. And so I took that and I applied that to the press release and the pitch and landed 5 placements. And that's how I started my public relations and communications career.
I love, you just described maybe the life of a beginner entrepreneur. You got to do your own press. You got to write your own copy. You have to pitch to everybody. You have to look for places to pitch. You have to know what you're pitching to. And number one, you have to know what your story is. What are you pitching with? And so it's interesting how your business actually evolved as you're doing these things, yourself. Yep. So I think, a lot of this, entrepreneur and women, we know we have a message that we want to share. Like Very that's true. Without a doubt. Every single one of us who's in the group, everywhere in the world, we all have a message that we believe. So in your experience, what are some of the things that particularly media would be looking for? They would be interested to hear about.
They want to see an authentic voice. They want to see consistency across the board. So if you're on LinkedIn, you're saying the same thing, but in a LinkedIn language. And if you're on Instagram, you're saying the same thing, but in an Instagram language. So it's basically, they want to see continuity across the board. You may be using different words, but it's the same message. So in a lot of times, media wants to make sure you are who you say you are on every single platform, because if they put you elevated on their site or their outlet and you turn out to be a charlatan, then their integrity is in question because they didn't do their research. And one thing, because of so much that has happened in the media industry, they're doing their research. So be very mindful of knowing that, have that in the back of your mind when you're creating your copy, when you're creating and making sure your story is told. Make sure you have an authentic voice and you're consistent.
I love it. I think one of my strongest values is authenticity. That's like my number one value, right? Am I showing up consistently across all the social media, and am I saying the things? A lot of it has to do with our own value, right? Mm-hmm. Because if I'm gonna tell the story, and I'm not going to tell it from the perspective of, making up stories. So it's interesting how media nowadays, they're checking to see, do they actually have like people spying on you? Normally when I pitch someone, I include all the social media links, because they're going to want to do their own research. As I do the research on that editor and that publication, they're going to do the research on the person that I'm pitching, because one, they want to make sure that you're timely, it ties into what the message is. They have to do that. Even if it's not them, it's their fact checkers. So trust and believe, even though a lot of places have a skeleton staff, they are checking what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Is it true that the more the merrier? So let's say, I'm starting out and I only have my Facebook, I only have my Instagram. Is it true that the more social media channel that you have, the better chance of getting the landed on their press?
No, more is no. Think about it this way. If your core audience and most of your interactions are on Facebook, that's where you should be. If you are more active on Instagram and more of your followers or your loyalty base is on Instagram, then focus on Instagram. Because this is the thing, you lead with where you're most active. So if you're on Instagram and it's really, really doing well, lead with that in your list of social media lists, because that's the first thing. They're going to click on the first link. So make sure you're positioning yourself so that you're showcased in the way that you want to be seen, which is public relations. What does your persona, how do you appear to the world? So if you want to appear that you're highly engaged on a social media platform, lead with that platform. You don't have to be everything. Every platform is not for everybody. And I will say this again, every platform is not for everybody. You do not need to be everywhere. There's no reason you should be on Twitch unless you have a message and an audience on Twitch. TikTok is another thing. Granted, it is great. It has a lot of laughs, but I'm sorry. If TikTok does not bring value to your message or your story, don't just get on there for a gimmick.
I have to laugh because, I was a couple of weeks ago, I was I made a promise to my TikTok friends. And I said, I'm going to be on here more often. And what happened? Because, it's not my platform. And I just keep lagging. I'm like, you know what? You can do that tomorrow.
That is not and that's the thing. That is not where your core audience lives. That is not where, where your message is going to be appreciated. And This is the thing. Look at the value of the social media platform. How is it, even though you're bringing value, how is it going to bring value to you and your brand? So that is jumping on trends is cool, but jumping on trends makes you lose your identity.
Beautifully said. I love that. You know, jumping on the trend makes you lose your identity. And those of you
Exactly.
who are joining us live, you know, feel free to put your questions into the comment or chat. Let us know, because this is probably the only chance that you're gonna catch her.
Listen. I will say this. I've done. I've had to had. I had a little meeting with myself because I needed to address those types of things, because I want to be able to be able to be available for those who have questions, or those who don't need to retain a public relations specialist but need to have some strategy and some guidance. So being able to have those office hours where people can book that time and we talk about it and we get their foot in the game, and having them to understand how to apply the methodologies to their business, that is key. That is important. So I had to really understand I do have to open up office hours. I do have to put that system in place where those times that can be booked. I'm not saying there is a premium for that space and time, because I'm providing a service. So having that space, but you're going to get a lot out of those office hours. You're going to get a lot out of that. So being able to offer that, and, you know, making sure they get a value for that it was key for me, because I want to make sure I'm giving something that's very much so needed. So yes.
Yeah. So lady, make sure you take advantage of this office hour as well as this live while she's here. I'm curious because, you know, there are some of us who don't feel that I'm a coach. I don't need really, I'm not a public figure, and I don't think of myself as a public figure. So why would I need to work with a publicist or anyone who's in the media business? Tell me more.
Yeah. How can you stand out from other coaches? That is the question. Do you want to stand out from other coaches? Yeah. Do you want to be a subject matter expert in your field of where you're coaching? Being, you know, there's so many coaches. There's life coaches, there's transitional coaches, visibility coaches, there's all of these things. So what would set you apart? How would they know what you bring to the table that's different from everybody else? And, you know, because there's so many coaches, you know, talking to a public relations specialist will help you to find your unique you and your unique voice as a public persona. So that's the biggest thing. Like, you don't have to retain a public relations specialist, but talk with one, because there might be ways that you can reach a bigger audience that you never thought of. And that you know, so those are the things that you definitely would need to reach out one for.
What are some of the elements that you walk your clients to? Like, walk us through the process of how you work with a client. Let's say I'm a new coach and I'm interested in your service. Walk me through the process.
The first thing I want to ask is what is your end result? What's your end game? What do you feel you would like to be? How do you want to appear to someone who's never met you, who's heard of you, but never met you, doesn't know anything about you? What's the first thing you want your name to bring to their mind?
So like, that's for me, definitely bravery.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, this is what I'm saying. When we see Michelle, we see bravery. We know that's what she's bringing to the table. That's what she's talking about. She's going to help you to understand how to be brave, how to speak loud, how to be noticed, how to achieve those things. So that is something that working with a public relations specialist will help you to get to.
And then so you got who I am, my kind of like my persona, as we're talking about, right? That person, that image of how you want people to remember you by. And then what else do I need?
You would also, let's do an assessment of your social media. Let's look at what your outreach has been. Let's look at your blog posts. Let's look at everything that you've put out into the World Wide Web and around your community. Because within that, you will be able to see, okay, where the deficiencies are, who has feedback, looking at your reviews. We will Google you and do a deep dive to find out what the reviews are, what's being talked about. Because when you put it that way, it's very, 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 very important to know how to clean that image up, and if you do need that image cleared up. So yeah,
So I think one of the things that, a lot of my group members are struggling with is that they don't have that image yet. So they're in the very beginning of their stages and they're trying to build that image up. What are some of the places that you would recommend to like maybe look into starting to build that image?
The first thing I would do is look at your website. That's the first window into your image, because from your website, that's where your social media is going to come into play. And then also look at your posts. What are you saying? What are you really saying? And then also, if you have a blog, what are you saying in your blog? How are you applying yourself to that? What is that message? Because that's your first press hit is your blog. You have to think about that. That is a press hit because your blog, your news outlet, that is your news outlet. So what are you doing? Your social media is your news outlet, your website, your news outlet. So the first thing I would say is define who you are there and then work from there. Because even if you're just starting out, you still have to have a profile. You know what you want to speak about, what you would like to accomplish, and then define that. And then that's where you can continue to grow from.
Is it necessary to have a website?
Now, yes. Nowadays, yes, because you would want to have a central location where people can go to, follow you on social media, follow on YouTube, listen to your podcast, look at past things that you've done, and then look at what you have coming up. And of course, a blog is a great way to lead people there too. So.
Yeah, I think, a lot of us are under the impression that, well, I'm not really, website is really just a place where I send people and they'll know about my service. And, most of the time I'm hanging out on social media. So let me just engage them through social media, through DM, through my email. They're thinking, why do I need to have a website?
Because, okay, in the World Wide Web of, how we do things, your website needs to show up on Google. When they Google bravery coach, your website is going to pop up because your SEO is right. And then from there, they'll start, the breadcrumbs, it'll lead them to you. So of course your website is key. Your website is very, very important to having a hit on search engines. And I think that we've gotten away from that because social media is popping and my Instagram is this, but no one wants to purchase services through Instagram. The trust factor is not there. And I don't think we'll ever get to that point because, you need your resume, you need case studies, you need all of those things. And you can't put out all of that on Instagram because how can they just double tap on reading your case study or your reviews?
Yeah.
Just look
Yeah. I love having a website because, when I'm speaking, so a lot of time I would send people to my website because it would be harder for me to send the traffic to, you can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Facebook. And the fact that I'm like pretty much everywhere, it gets really distracting. Whereas if I'm on a podcast episode or I'm speaking on the stage, I can just tell people, hey, just go check out my website. There it is, all the information that you need would be right there.
And that's
kind of like one shop.
That's the biggest thing about if you're speaking and selling from the stage. No one wants to sit and say www.instagram.com/ blah, 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 blah. No. Whatever, whatever your business name is.com. That's it.
Yeah.
You like that. That's just how that works. I never understood.
So I since I have you on here, I promised my women coaches that I was going to ask you because, at me, especially when I was building up my reputation, building up my visibility, one of the things I was struggling with was where to pitch it to and how do I pitch? So, Chandra, give us a little insider in terms of where should we be looking?
The first thing you should look at is what publications do you want to be in? Do you want to be on a local blog, a local newspaper, or a national blog or local national media outlet or local media outlet? And then from there, look at how you would bring value to that outlet. And the thing is, start in your backyard, people. Start in your backyard. Your community is going to be your greatest platform. Because if the people where you are don't know you, don't know anything about you, don't know how to support you, then why would a national or a larger outlet be interested in you? That is my biggest thing. Make sure you're touching your actual core, your actual backyard, because in the grand scheme of things, a lot of times we forget that your backyard and your community needs to know who you are, why you're there, and what you would like to do. So when you're pitching, the first thing you need to think about is, what value can I bring to this outlet? The next thing is, at what level is this outlet, and how will it increase my reach? And then the main thing is, learn about who you're pitching to and how they want to be spoken to. And that takes a little understanding of how, persuasive writing is and all of that. But it's possible. Introducing yourself, making sure that what you are talking about is something they were interested in. And that should help you to understand the how to pitch and why to pitch and when to pitch. I hope that helps.
I love the part where you said get to know the person that you're pitching to, because I feel that that's a lot of where the I think the disconnect for especially a beginner to pitch into this area, because we don't realize that the person that you're speaking to has a personality. There's a dislike and dislike, right? So before you pitch to like someone who is a baseball fan and suddenly you're talking about like a basketball, that's like a complete no-no. And so it makes perfect sense why that pitch letter would go to the trash or spam folder rather than getting noticed. Go ahead.
That's the thing about it, is that respect level, that is key, that respecting people's their time and what they want to see. That's my biggest thing.
How big is the pitch letter need to be? Like how elaborate?
It all depends. You have to do that research, because, being able to know, and this is why, even if you don't retain a public relations specialist, that's a question. That's something that that I usually provide if someone's working with me just off of as an office hour talk. Then I will provide that, because I would get to know, I would find out exactly where you want to be. And I will give you that template. I would give you that so that you can reach out in the right way, and give you the ability to, connect with that outlet that you want to be on. Because sometimes there's access that I have that you may not have, but some things are visible, but some things are not. Because some want 2 sentences, some want 3, some want a paragraph, some want a paragraph plus, pre-answered questions. Some want, you to know that their last 5 articles, it all depends, because some people want to know that you know who they are and what it ranges so much.
Which is why it's a full-time job.
I'm going to say this, yes, because I will say I spend about 15 hours a week, and this is in the middle of the night sometimes, looking at the changes in the reporters, editors, different magazine focus, when their focus has changed or they've changed the theme for the next quarter, making sure I'm tracking all of these things. And it's like, this is why I tell people there is a different respect that needs to happen for public relations and comms, because you can either work with someone and they give you a plan for the year and that way you can do it yourself, or if you retain them, you still have to understand that expertise that comes into it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work.
And I think that was my number one drive to wanted to reach out to work with a public relation person, because there's no way that I can be really good at doing those, right? I don't know how to write a pitch letter. I don't know where to look. I don't have a relationship with the media personnel. And so it's a lot harder. I mean, I'm willing to learn, but that's face it, my goal, my passion is not public relationship. My goal and my passion is in coaching. So if I have more time, I would much rather spend it with coaching clients.
That is the thing. And it's all about because I don't do social media. I don't do social media management. I have someone that does that. I give the direction, but I don't do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the time to I can review the analytics and know when the time to post and suggest those things, but I don't have time to write the copy. I don't have time to do those things because I'm stalking these editors and these reporters and these outlets, these new outlets, and these outlets that are changing direction. Like that's what I'm doing. And I don't have the time for that because, you have to know what your wheelhouse is. You have to know what you're capable of in the 24 hours that everybody gets. And sleep is one of them.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So important.
Sleep is important because I'm gonna say this: you can't operate if you're not sleeping. So that's very, very important.
So I just wanted to summarize up for our viewers and listeners because I think number one is to pitch to your community, pitch
Correct.
to your local area, at least get the word out in your local area.
Yep.
And learn the language of the person that you're pitching to. Do a little bit of research. Maybe that person had published a book. Maybe that person has a website, commenting, and make it personal when you do the pitching letter.
Very true, because no one wants to be, spoken to like, hey, I don't know anything about you, but you need to talk to me and elevate me. No, that's not nice.
Yeah, and I know we personally don't appreciate that too when we get pitched, right? Because when someone reach out to us and just wanted to pitch, that just doesn't sound good. So do your research, know the person that you're pitching to, and then what? What are some of the things that I might need? Like maybe a bio. What else do I need?
Listen, let me go ahead and I'm going to start with pictures, okay? No media outlet wants a selfie in your car with the seatbelt or the rearview mirror or your kid in the back or your dog in the back or a highway in the back. Let's start there. Your pictures are your representation. Please make sure you have a professional headshot and high-res photos. 2, make sure you have a short bio. Well, make sure you have a 3-sentence bio, a short bio, and a long bio. Those are the 3 things that are going to be key to you being able to pitch yourself. And then also a summary of your topics and why you can speak to those topics. Because even though you may be pitching towards a certain subject matter, include those things because you never know what they're working on. So make sure that you can substantiate those topics that you are very proficient in and you can speak to, and then apply them to any current thing that you would like to talk about. Those are the things that to have the right recipe. It's not the whole recipe, but the right base of the ingredients that you need to properly pitch. Those are the things: your picture, your various versions of your bio, of course, your social media links, all of them. Make sure they're working. Make sure that everything is correct. So when they click on it, they don't have to search and it won't take them to somebody's dog with a bow tie. Make sure it's your social media. Make sure your website is up to date. And then also your topics that you are a subject matter expert in speaking on. And that's your base recipe. But please, you all, please get professional photos. I can't stress that enough.
And smile.
Yes.
Every conversation begin with a smile.
Because I want especially with coaching, there is an emotional connection with a coach. You have to trust the coach. You have to buy into that the coach sees your vision. So remember that. You want to make sure you connect and build that loyalty and that trust factor. If you are not able to convey that, you will not be successful because a coach is someone that works closely with you. And if you don't build that trust off the gate, then it's never going to work. No one's going to turn over their life and their coins to you because they don't trust that you know your stuff or that you can benefit them and help them.
Yeah. And I think it's so true that it's that trust. It's creating that image and building that branding, building that how do you want people to remember you on? And when it comes to getting visibility on media, ultimately you're helping the media to create and build their business. You're helping them to create that how they want to be remembered. So a lot of it, we call it public relation, but because it's a public relation, it's a win-win. You're creating a win for the company or the media that you're going to. And conversation begins with a
That is the biggest thing. Yes. Lead with a smile. Like, even if you're reaching out to someone, say, can we do a video call? Because a lot of times having that personal connection is going to be the thing that secures you and the thing that they see. So make sure you begin that with a smile and, a show of gratitude, because people don't have to give you their time. Time is something you will never get refunded. So make sure you're spending it wisely and make sure you're not wasting someone else's. That's pretty much it.
I usually start with my letter with, thank you so much for your time for reading this.
There you go. Acknowledgement and gratitude goes a long, long way.
Yeah. I learned that the hard way, right? Initially, it was a complete different letter that, shall we say, altogether, right? It's more about how do I promote myself? How do I market myself? Later, you learn that that's not, people don't appreciate it. You got to treat people as people.
Yes.
Treat that person as a person, no matter where that person is, media or not media. Just treat that person as a person, even though it's electronically.
Yes. And that's the thing. People are burnt out.
Yeah.
These individuals who are writing and elevating others, they're burnt out. They're working 10 times harder because staffing shortages, things of that nature. So make it easier for them to want to cover you and want to be interested in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
So Chandra, I know that you brought some freebies for us. So tell us about your freebie.
My freebie is a 15-minute consult just to figure out where you want to be, and in that you will get a questionnaire, because we're going to make the most of that 15 minutes, because guess what? Like I said, time is something that you can't get refunded. So make great use of it. You will get a questionnaire, especially to find out what you would like to know, where you would like to go, and then also your understanding of what public relations and comms means to your business. So yes, I'm excited about that. And I will share the link that especially just for the members of this group. And, it's a different office hours. I am actually making sure that there's allocated time for you guys, just for you guys.
Yay!
So, yes.
And where can people find you?
You can find me via my website, chandragoreconsulting.com, or on my Conversations with Chan. That's my publication, my blog, my podcast. You can find me there, but start with chandragoreconsulting.com and you can go to all of those sites as well. But I'm so excited to speak to some of your coaches, to find out how I can help your business and help you to be elevated and become a subject matter expert that they go to when they're looking for a coach like you.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you are here, because I feel that, having that visibility is really, I can talk to one person and probably maybe get one lead. Not necessarily client, but maybe one lead. Yes. But when I speak to 100 people, then I can get 10 clients out of those.
Yes.
And so it's a big number, speaking in front of the right person, the right time, the right pitch, right story, everything. Just so it works so much better.
I know. And it's the funny thing about it is that you understand the value of being able to be that visible. And then because the more people who see you, the more people like, hey, did you see this story? Or, hey, let me share, because I love your post, by the way. And it makes you interact. It makes you smile. It makes you think. It makes you laugh, like all of those things. But the biggest thing is like, because I even tagged a couple people on your post. I was like, I need to stop doing that, because it's like, but I have to do it because I want people to see, like, did y'all see this? Like, this actually, the icebreakers, all of those things, see, this is why people come to you. This is why they know you, because there's an emotional connection to you. So, yes, you're doing a great job on that.
Oh, thank you. And honestly, a lot of time my intention is just making that connection. I don't even care like who comes or whether or not they turn into my client. That's like secondary, right? If they want to work with me, that's great. But your intention should be just going out there and spread that message. And I know the fact that each one of us have a message to share. So go out there and talk about it and share it and see what comes out of it. I think that is the biggest difference in how I do things versus, how other people do things. And I do my best to bring my personality onto the table.
Oh, your personality is there. It's fun. It's refreshing. And it's like, because at one point, my algorithm was off. So I wasn't able to see your posts. So I had to go back and go back like a couple posts just so it would show up, because I like seeing happy things in my feed. And I don't know about anybody else, but I want to see things that's going to keep me inspired and keep me going, because there's a lot of times I'm down and I need that boost. So
any other last word of advice for our coaches here?
Be authentic with your voice. Please be authentic. If you like, be authentic. That's the one thing I would leave you all with. Be authentic, because that's the first thing people feel when they look at you. They don't want to see a plastic shell of a persona. They want to see the real you. So be you and show that side. And I'm telling you, the doors will open up a lot more.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, my friend.
You're welcome.
I'm going to put you to the backstage so that I can close up and wrap up the show.
Okay.
All right, ladies, hopefully this is helpful and that it gives you some idea, at least what would be your initial step to actually get the visibility in media going. Number one is to pitch, to look for the local area. And this is true. Just look into your community. There's a lot of newsletter communities, and people are always looking for stories. So have that clarity of what your story that you're pitching to, look into your local community. And like Chandra said, to have 3 type of bio, right? A shorter 2-liner bio, short bio, and a long bio, and have a good headshot. I know a lot of you are working on the headshot, so great, kudos to you, because that's going to get you one step closer to create that visibility on media. Hey, beautiful. Thanks for listening. Ever feel like you are out in the battle by yourself in this world? I know I did. If you found values from this podcast and you are a woman coach who is ready to launch your coaching career and looking for strategies to get seen, get heard, and get hired, I want to invite you to check out additional resources in launching your coaching business by visiting my website at elevatelifecoaching.org. This show is made possible by listeners like you. I would love for you to support me by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and a heartfelt review. See you at my next tea party. Bye now.